NFL 2K5 and NBA 2K6 had a feature called The Crib, and it starts off with a jump scare that would get most 2010 YouTubers crapping their pants. This feature was the game away from the game. It was your house. You could freely explore around and just design your place and interact with things. Majority of the stuff you could unlock through just playing the game. In NFL 2K5, you get crib points with every little thing you do. In NBA 2K6, you have set challenges to do. See how much stuff I got? Damn, I'm amazing at this game. Definitely one of the best of all time. Wait, don't show that. Don't show me cheating. Now, as far as which game has the better crib, I'd say NFL 2K5 by far. You could explore a lot more in NFL 2K5 and design a whole lot more. NBA 2K6 just locks you into one room and there are invisible walls, can't go here, can't go there, or go upstairs. The one advantage that NBA 2K6 does have is that you can freely move around. NFL 2K5 has you moving around like a Carmen Sandiego game or some shit. But exploring both is pretty cool. Look at the bobbleheads. Ew, what's up with these troll doll eyes? And the thing that made me laugh so much as a kid, and I definitely think someone on a development team was trolling with this one, Stephon Marbury. He has a bobblehead. They made his head so damn big, the top of it had to be sliced off in order for it to fit on the shelf. Bro, that's legit crazy. Like, they have Ben Wallace in this game, right? He is twice the size of Marbury, and he has an afro, and his bobblehead is completely intact, afro and all. Someone had it out for this man to make it look like a fusion between fucking Brett Gardner and Super Bonk's Adventure.
That shit is so disrespectful.
Exploring around, you come across some games you could play. Air hockey's pretty fun. Look how good I am. Okay, enough air hockey. Darts. I don't know why the cursor is shaking like a guy going through withdrawals, but fun game of darts. There are some games that are exclusive to NFL 2K5, like this NFL trivia one. Each question gives you a certain amount of money, but they also take away that amount if you get it wrong. And then there's paper football. An elementary school classic. You have 4 downs to get the paper football to the edge of the table where it's hanging over but doesn't fall off. Then flick the paper football through the finger uprights. I spent a good amount of time playing this, and it's one of those things that's so simple yet so fun. When you start out in the crib, your house is empty and has the lowest, cheapest looking items, like this table. 4 cinder blocks holding up a piece of wood. Who has cinder blocks and a piece of wood on standby to create this? I feel like that's more rare to have than an actual table. Once you get enough points, and not by cheating, shut up, you can customize your crib, and, at least in the NFL 2K5 version, there's a lot to customize and a lot of things to choose from. Like, you have posters, jerseys, mugs, cardboard cutouts, parking signs, rugs, and a bunch more. Now, the things you could choose from can be team specific, like look at this Chad Pennington cutout, or you could choose to have a poster of Trey Wingo in your house for some reason.
Shut up! Just shut up!
Or Chris Berman, or celebrities like WCW champion David Arquette, or Steve-O. Will you judge me too harshly if I have 3 Carmen Electra posters in my house? Well, guess what?
I don't give a fuck. After
putting in work and designing your own crib, it's a little satisfying walking through your house. What was once an empty husk of a place is now filled up with Jet stuff, so I guess it still is kinda empty. It's a fun gameplay loop. Just play the game, earn money, and put that money into your house. It's like the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure, but for sports games. You know, minus the whole abuse thing you could do to the Chow. Ray Rice would be proud. You can even unlock cheats like these tiny players and big head mode. Even big head mode doesn't look as egregious as that Stephon Marbury bobblehead. But those of you watching were probably confused a second ago. Carmen Electra, Steve-O, David Arquette, what's with these celebrities? Well, Sega contacted celebrities to be a part of this game. And the way they're implemented is that they call you to play a game of NFL 2K5 and you play against them.
That's right, baby! Funkmaster Flex! I never heard of you! Don't call me again!
Now, as someone whose sole purpose was to just see the celebrities part and nothing else, this was kind of a pain because you have to just play the game and wait for them to call you. Or at least that's what I thought. I'm over here playing random ass games trying to get a call. I'm over here completing the ESPN mode and running a random franchise, but in actuality, you could just sit at a menu for long enough and you'll get a call.
Hey, it's Carmen. Want to give it a go?
No, I'm busy. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I lost the option to play the game. Now I gotta wait on a damn menu again for mad long. So you get a call from a random celebrity and you engage in a game of NFL 2K5 with them, and they have their own custom team. It's worth noting that Steve-O's team just goes by the generic name of Dream Team, and that's because in an interview, Steve-O said that his team name was supposed to be the Banana Tuggers, and I think that name would be tugging on the E for everyone rating. We can't have that, but we can watch a video on the TV of Steve-O on the toilet.
I don't know what kind of a rock and roll tour bus you're on, dude, but you've been playing this video game more than Steve-O, and you won. Congratulations, man. Yeah, dude.
Yes, this is the 100% reward for the game. It's also worth noting that Steve-O came out and said fairly recently that he was paid $100,000 to be in this game. Assuming every celebrity was paid the same, that would be $500,000 dedicated to the use of celebrities' voices and their still images. Considering this is a yearly release sports game that went for only $20, I feel like that's a lot of money, but what do I know? When playing against them, the game treats it as if it's a real person you're playing against. You can see their character selected icon, and you can even see them pick plays, and you have to wait for them to pick a play, something that's not a thing in the regular game. Also not a thing in the regular game is the trash talking they can do.
Give, receive, I'll receive.
Pause.
Seemingly every other play, the celebrity chimes in with a soundbite.
It's a tie, but not for long.
Some, like David Arquette, are pretty animated.
No! Ah! What? Come on! Oh, brother! Why? Why?
Some, like Jamie Kennedy, are pretty boring.
Okay, but now it's my turn.
Each celebrity apparently has their own playstyles that are based off of how well they play in real life. I don't really notice this except for, once again, Steve-O. He's essentially your average online scrub player. He constantly goes for 2 after a touchdown and onside kicks every time. After you beat your opponent, they are put on speed dial where you can play them again if you want. You also unlock their teams, and you unlock them as players. Like, if you can make yourself a 100 overall player, why would you make yourself a fullback, Funk Master Flex? Like, come on, at least pick a defensive end or something. You can head back to the crib and head on into the home theater and watch the behind the scenes for the celebrities, or maybe watch an old Sports Center commercial. And after all that, you can bask in your glory of your accomplishments in the trophy room. Ahem. Yeah, that's more like it. Now, this is it for the crib. Kinda. The NHL 2K games and the MLB 2K games had their own version of the crib. I guess because baseball and hockey are too white of sports to be associated with the term crib, so they call it the skybox instead. The skybox in both NHL and MLB 2K are largely the same. When you walk into the skybox, you can see the Stanley Cup that I totally won on my own, and you can play the games we discussed already, but we have a new one, Shuffleboard. Watch, I'm gonna hit my opponent's disc.
This is #1 bullshit.
You can unlock cheats in the NHL 2K5 Skybox, and this leads to some rather strange looking arenas. Like, where the hell am I? Is this a glacier? Are those dinosaurs? Okay. The MLB 2K5 Skybox has multiple skyboxes to choose from, but nothing really all that different. Look at that score, I'm the trivia champion. At least when they're not asking me old ass questions. 1936? Come on bro, that's old enough to be a Jake Paul opponent. The crib would eventually be discontinued, and now it's looked at as a nostalgic experiment. I wish this could have been expanded upon, but 3 out of the 4 series I talked about in this video are no longer a thing. And the only one that is never expanded on the crib and pretty much abandoned it. And maybe that's for the best, as it would have been turned into some kind of microtransaction thing where you can pull slot machines and hit the heavy bag and play E for Everyone Halo. Yeah, that's all a thing. In any event, this is kinda a time capsule of how games were made. Cheat codes, unlockables, fun little side stuff, and it's all free. Like I said, here's Steve-O on a toilet. You know this type of stuff is exclusive to its time period. Before my career or my player or talking to Jake from State Farm in a basketball game, 2K had the 24/7 mode. Now there have been different iterations of this mode before, but today we'll look at the one in NBA 2K7. NBA 2K7 has a pretty great opening. It starts off with Cyclops firing a level 1 super optic blast that travels through the city, bending around corners and blocks, and leads to this basketball that's projecting both teams on the building for you to select. So we start 24/7 mode, and there's two things that made me laugh. Firstly,
what the fuck are you wearing?
I have no clue what this guy is thinking with this fit. Guy looks like he's about to audition to be the next host of Blue's Clues. The second thing is that this view is first person, and you pull up to the court like Godzilla. Why is he walking like that? Why are we doing these one small step for man kind of footsteps? Maybe it's fitting. Look out into the sky. This clearly ain't Earth we're on right now. Anyway, we spot Shaq randomly shooting free throws. Our collared friend over here asks for a game, but Shaq asks for the only thing that he would realistically lose in, a free throw battle. Shaq looks like he's trying to solve equations in his head as he takes the shot. We beat him easily, and he hands us a flyer for this tournament thing. We are then dumped into the character creator. I just used the randomizer to cycle through the slimiest guys this game has to offer, and I ended up on this guy. Look, if NBA 2K creepypastas aren't already a thing, well, you can start with this face. I pressed the circle button to go back in a menu because that's been the case for games for the last 15 years or so. But this game came out in an era where the triangle button was the standard when going back in menus. The circle button in this case is to randomize. Damn muscle memory. So we ended up going with this guy. But we don't, because once again, this game was released in an era where autosave wasn't commonplace, so I lost him too, which is unfortunate because he was out there taking ankles. So we stay with this guy. So the whole thing with this mode is that there are 6 courts. We have to build up respect by winning street ball games. The more respect we get, the more courts we unlock. The goal of this is to get to a Legends tournament where we have a shot at the NBA. With you on this journey are your friends, Antoine.
See, my name is Antoine.
The cool-headed optimist, and this dude.
Yeah, that's I forget his name.
Just call him Mr. Scoliosis because bro is always hunched over. He's the loud comic relief guy.
You gonna show off your mad freestyling skills in a off-the-hook rap battle?
When you arrive to Chicago, you play basketball in, I don't know, Mankind's boiler room, and you meet the antagonist, Bernard. He's a white guy with tribal tattoos and cornrows. Bro, were you created in the randomizer too? So let's talk gameplay. NBA 2K7 is alright. It's an alright game of basketball. You could just tell they were a year or so away from fully getting it right. They get the presentation right with all the sweat and the clothes physics. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Did you see that guy's balls?
But playing it isn't the greatest. Everyone dribbles like they're wearing an invisible cast on their arm. You can't pump fake while in the paint. The triangle button does both alley-oops and steps and gathers, so you can imagine when you try and do one, you end up doing the other. Dribbling is also weird. You hold R2 and flick the left stick around. I don't like it. Going into the mode itself, you have to play street ball games, and the game just randomly spits out the type of game and rule set. So you play a one-on-one regular game, or you can play a 2-on-2 game where you spot your opponent's 7 points. Wait, what?
This is #1 bullshit.
Yeah, some of the stipulations are really dumb. I got the spot your opponent's 7 points one for my very first game, as if I'm not already playing against NBA players. Oh, first dunk! Damn. There's also ones where you can only dunk or layup, but that only applies to you, not your opponent. And there are ones with a timer, but you can just get the lead real quick and just hold on to the ball. There's no shot clock to stop you. When it's a team game, you get to choose your teammates. At first, you are limited to who you can choose, But the more respect you get, the prospect of picking elite players like 2004 champion Darko Milicic becomes a reality. The AI in this game is just brain dead, or at least it is in this mode. In team games, the opposing team can just have their center play point guard. Like, what the hell even is this? So my strategy on defense was to just double team everyone.
Pause.
Because I know the center ain't shooting no 3-pointers if they're open. The centers themselves don't play like they should. Like, I picked Shaq as a partner, and you'd expect him to post up and impose his will like Shaq normally would. But he's just over here trying turnaround jumpers like, what are you doing? Your teammates never want the ball either. Here. No, I don't want the ball. Take the ball. Bro, I don't want the ball. Probably the thing I find most annoying is the fact that you can't even change the camera angle. I prefer the 2K up and down view personally. But you get this side view, but it's at an angle. I have problems with the depth perception on this view. I wish I could change it, but I couldn't find a way. All these small things add up to a mode that's way more annoying than anything to play. But anyway, we win some games with the ugliest jump shot ever. We get a game against Steve Nash and Kevin Garnett, and when we beat them, they teach us the ultimate hidden basketball technique, an alley-oop. We then head on into Texas.
It's simple, Stan. Play some D, rebound, pass me the rock, and we'll be all right. Once the scouts see what I got, man, we'll both be cool.
Okay, my man, here's an uncontested alley-oop.
This guy fucking sucks.
So we win the game where we get steals, blocks, and score 16 out of the 17 total points. But the next cutscene is like, oh, you made him look good, as if he wasn't out there looking like a Minecraft player with the amount of bricks he was just throwing up. We grind our respect up and we have a 3-point shootout with Peja Stojakovic. After we beat him, he teaches us a street ball move, and off to New York we go, where we have to face off against Bernard the Brickmaster, living up to his name once again. It doesn't matter, we still won. After beating him, we grind for respect, again, and face off against Jason Richardson, who might have some tricks up his sleeve, the game says. And by tricks, they mean this one move where he throws the ball off your head and gives you a stiff arm. You learn this move after you beat him. And on to Venice. I think you guys see the pattern here. I'm not leaving anything out. The whole thing is essentially you arrive at a place, you do something that involves Bernard, you grind out respect, then you face off against an NBA player that teaches you some unsatisfying street move. There's nothing else, not even a chance to upgrade your guy, which is a staple in every sports game. So I'm gonna just skip to Rucker Park, which is the last stop.
Guess who's playing? You have been summoned here to Rucker Park by the Legends Committee for a one-on-one against a guy by the name of Bernard Skills Rogers.
Oh, we have an announcer now, and he sounds like a 5th grader that has to participate in Read Aloud.
The committee is saying the winner will get the amateur spot in the tournament. This is your time to shine, baller.
I can visually see this guy reading off a script each time I blink. Anyway, we have our final showdown with Bernard.
You think you're special, you do.
But I get sick. I apparently had bad sushi, but it sounds like Bernard had something to do with it. So this means we have to face him with our controls reversed. This doesn't even faze me, man. I spent hours playing that dizzy minigame in Mario Party. We beat this guy for the 97th time and we move on to the Legends tournament. We pick our squad. Texas seems pretty stacked, but wait.
Due to an injury, we have a replacement. Hailing from Chicago, Bernard Skills Rogers.
So we have to deal with this guy again. This is really the SpongeBob meme right now.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson?
So playing these tournament games is really different because firstly, we have a commentator.
To T-Mac, to T-Mac. Passes to T-Mac, passes to T-Mac, to T-Mac, to T-Mac. Peja Stojakovic.
Secondly, every team you'll face is full of the best NBA players, and they're all playing their correct positions. I can't leave Gilbert Arenas open because he's going to make the shot, both on the court and apparently off the court too. But through some hardship, we get through the tournament. The ending of the game is actually really profound. The two main characters stand in New York and Bernard tells us to be our own person, to find something to believe in and pass it on. Pass the torch to the next generation. Not just genetically, but through experiences, art, and the relationships we built along the way. Wait a second. That's just the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2. The actual ending is these two old dudes in suits walk up to you, who are obviously voiced by one of the developers trying to do their best old man executive voice.
Amazing performance out there, young man. Simply amazing. Tell you what, our NBA team is looking for a player just like you.
Snap! Oh, you gotta be kidding me!
Bernard Rogers, you left quite an impression out there today. Our team could really use someone like you.
Thank you. Finally somebody recognizes talent. I guess this ain't the last we've seen of each other, huh, baller?
So we pick our team and...
Party people, party people.
Wow. Don't you just hate it when something ends so abrupt? So what happens when you combine House of the Dead?
Thank you for rescuing me.
With baseball and the Kinect? You get Diabolical Pitch, a game so far out there that I don't even know if words can do it justice. Even attempting to just play this game can be an adventure. It was an Xbox Live Arcade title, which means it was only ever available in the Xbox Live Marketplace, which has been shut down for quite some time. The only way to play this game is if you already have it downloaded to your console, or you buy an Xbox that has this game installed, or you can get it via other methods.
That's fucking illegal.
Diabolical Pitch is from the mind of Suda51. Many of you recognize these games that he's behind, but for me, he will always be the guy who was behind that Fire Pro Wrestling game where your wrestler develops severe depression, and the ending of the game is him shooting himself. Happy Halloween, everyone. This game is just as odd. In Diabolical Pitch, you are McAllister, a pitcher who pitched a 9-inning shutout to advance to the World Series, but uh-oh, his shoulder blew out. You know, later on in the story, you find out that this dude once pitched a 27-inning game in high school.
The game was tied at 0-0, and we went into extra innings. Finally had to call it quits in the 27th inning.
Damn!
So the fact that this dude's arm turned into Smucker's jam really isn't all that surprising. Bro needs to find his high school coach and diabolically punch him in the face for this shit. So anyway, he's so depressed by this, he blindly speeds down a highway into oncoming traffic and collides head on with a truck. The next thing you see is this, I think, animatronic cow in a suit. He gives you this super powered arm, and then pretty much you have to defeat everyone in this weird theme park to make your wish come true. That sets the stage for this game's gameplay. Like previously mentioned, this is a Kinect game, so put away that controller. Diabolical Pitch plays out like an arcade game. Your character is stationary in one spot while the banana split rejects creep closer and closer. In order to defeat these guys, you have to use your new arm to throw baseballs at them. You do a throwing motion to throw the ball. Depending on how hard you do the motion will influence how fast the pitch is. You could throw really slow, like 59 miles per hour. You know, these are the type of speeds some electrician was throwing to Babe Ruth back in the day. Or you could throw 109 miles per hour. I have to warn you to use these fast pitches rarely, because I played through this 2-hour game, and as much as my Xbox told me to sit my ass down and take a break, I did not, and I played straight through. And let me tell you, I am just like McAllister right now, minus the whole new arm, carnival, murder shit. And I haven't driven into oncoming traffic, at least not yet. But yeah, for real, this will kill your shoulder, man. I was out for a couple of days, and the only thing that hurt more than my shoulder was my pride when I told some people that I hurt my shoulder playing a Kinect game.
Pussy.
But you aren't just throwing baseballs. This game does some things to vary it up a little. Like whenever an enemy is close, you can kick them away. Damn, did they give him a diabolical leg too? Kick that dude to the Milky Way. Shit looks like a Smash Brothers ring out. Enemies also attack, and this is where the game really asks more from you. You have to do certain things like catch baseballs, or sometimes enemies throw saw blades that you have to duck or jump over. There's also this aiming mechanic. You extend your non-dominant hand and these crosshairs come up you use to aim. Certain enemies can only take damage from headshots, and you have to throw baseballs at incoming missiles. Aiming can be a little bit of a chore, but whenever the game requires you to do this, it's not in a scenario where you have to quickly aim at things for the most part. There are these collectibles you can get. There's some type of casino gimmick here. There are slots you can activate by collecting cherries and lucky sevens. I don't really know what this accomplishes besides getting points, but who really cares about that? You can earn these coins that may or may not be Bitcoin, and these coins can be spent on certain upgrades like diabolical pitches. If you ever do feel overwhelmed, that's where these diabolical pitches come in.
Fire! Ball!
You do a certain gesture and you can activate these screen clearing moves, like a giant fireball or a giant baseball meteor and turning your arm into a cannon. Unfortunately, these aren't balanced at all. The only ones that are worth a damn in my opinion is the electric ball and the liner, where you summon an electric baseball bat and hit baseballs back at enemies without having to aim, unlike the cannon.
Liner! Ball!
This game has 5 stages of theme parks to go through, from graveyards to space stations. Each area adds a new gimmick, like previously mentioned jumping saw blades. You also get a new cutscene with each world cleared as well.
Why not try to enjoy yourself while you're here? Oh, by the way, Mr. McAllister, do you think there's such a thing as a fixed game?
Only whenever my parlay doesn't hit. The cutscenes aren't really anything special, and neither is the story in general, honestly, outside of the wacky theme. The game itself is pretty easy until you get to the final stage. For reference, I died only 1 time throughout the first 4 stages, but on the 5th stage, I died 9 times. This is because all the things you learn throughout the game are put to the test here. And this is where the main complaint I have comes from. It's targeting, or lack thereof. When you do the throwing motion, the ball just goes wherever there's an enemy or a collectible, but it just seems it's at random. Yes, there's aiming like I mentioned earlier, but there's no way that aiming is fast enough for faster paced situations. There's many moments in this final stage where there's an enemy heading right for me, but my character throws a ball to a different enemy.
This is #1 bullshit.
Besides that, the game works fairly well, honestly. There's no weird tracking errors and the game is pretty enjoyable. The 2-hour length of the game is perfect because if it was any more than this, it would have gone a little old. The final boss is this giant princess robot doll thing. You throw at her arms while she and her cronies attack, then you throw balls into her mouth.
Hey, yo!
So let's use our diabolical pitch to kill this diabolical bitch.
Diabolical Pitch.
The ending is McAllister wishing he had his pitching arm back, and then he gets it. The end. Wow. If you can convince someone else to lobotomize their shoulder with you, you can play this game's co-op multiplayer. There isn't much to it. The game is way easier because you have 2 people throwing baseballs at the same time instead of just 1. There are some co-op things in here like reviving each other, but to do that, you'd literally have to go on your knees in front of the other person.
Hey, yo!
There's also this diabolical pitch you can unlock where both players work together. Overall, it's a fun time. Diabolical Pitch released to nothing. I mean it, nothing. The reviews that were out there were way overly negative in my opinion, like 3 out of 10. Come on, give me a break.
Also, what kind of fucking word is a niggles anyway? Like, what is that?
The game didn't sell all that well either. There were only 573 players in the first week of this game's release, and years would pass by. The Kinect would be abandoned and the 360 store would close, which means Diabolical Pitch is put in a weird spot. There's no way for the average person to currently play this game, which is really a shame. I'm not here to tell you that this is some sort of all-time forgotten great game or anything, but it has a unique aesthetic along with the novelty of being a Kinect game, along with the novelty of being baseball Halloween themed. I mean, this is one of the very, very few games that's Halloween sports themed, so I guess don't expect one of these kind of videos next year. Well, screw it. I'm going to ice my shoulder. Peace. In a 1-year span between 2002 to 2003, Konami decided to team up with Disney and grace us with DSN. Disney Sports Network. This would mean we would get multiple different sports games based on the Disney license. And when I say Disney license, I just mean the Mickey Mouse characters. Now, for whatever reason, these games were exclusive to Nintendo platforms, and these are some of the worst rated games of all time. But maybe, just maybe, these are misunderstood hidden gems. Now, before I get into each individual game, I have to say there are two general complaints I have about all of them. Firstly, I guess they wanted these games, along with the Mickey Mouse brand, to be more edgy, because everyone just looks pissed off in all of these games. I mean, it was the mid-2000s, the same time frame that gave us BDSM Bomberman, but this doesn't really work because these are Mickey Mouse characters. Look at them. Like, look at Donald Duck. Bro, settle down. The most hilarious moment is that in the intro to the football game, they have this dark, ominous looking Mickey Mouse with a shadow covering his face. And then they're just like, oh, hey, it's Mickey Mouse. This would be like having Schindler's List take place in Teletubby Land. It just doesn't make any sense and doesn't fit. The second thing is that every game has this overly obnoxious announcer.
Dribbles the ball up with the layup. Yes!
Like, man, this dude is the worst.
Ollie, the most blind player number 9, 8, 6, wide receiver. With a fantastic steal. Barney has brought Herbert.
Shut up.
Disney Sports Soccer was the first game of this series to be released. This game just comes across as the RC Cola version of Mario Strikers. It's just a really mid game. You have several characters to choose from. Each of them come with their own teams and their own unique abilities, but there's really not much to this game and little to no experimentation in general. It's just kick the ball in the net. Nothing crazy ever happens.
What do you think? Will they score? Take an aim on the goal. There it is! 40 minutes into the second half. Ooh, and a lovely shot by Donald.
You could do this takeout slide, which leaves the person in a very sus position.
Hey, yo!
And my favorite part of the game is that you can practically kick the shit out of someone if they're standing close enough.
Shut your
Besides that, this is just blah. There's no fancy dribble moves or really anything interesting. And that'd be alright at the end of the day, but the controls for this game are pretty bad. When you have the ball, it takes like half a second for your character to move or to shoot or to pass, and I understand that this can't be instantaneous due to the nature of dribbling in soccer, but even then, I find that to be a little bit extra. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to feel like I'm playing a 2007 laggy online match. The B button, I believe, is to pass the ball. Now you'd think the button to switch to a different character on defense would be the same button, but it's not. It's the X button instead. Synergy in the controls. Who needs that? Let's do whatever the hell we want. That includes constantly switching the controlled character for us. That doesn't get confusing or annoying. If you tie, you get into a shootout, and this was actually pretty fun. The only fun thing about this game that's not kicking them into orbit, the game is pretty light on game modes too. Just different variants of exhibition and nothing more. Disney Sports Soccer is actually the highest rated game in this video, and if this is the highest rated, I'm quite literally cowering in fear for the next couple of games. Yeah, the Tony Hawk games started this revolution. They were so successful that everyone and their mother thought they can make a Tony Hawk ripoff and be successful. From furries to scooters to Solid Snake, all of them tried and all of them failed. And this is one of those failed games. I called the soccer game a RC Cola version of Mario Strikers, but if I say that here, it would be an insult to RC Cola. This game is just bad. The opening level actually starts you out in a familiar place. Yep, that's right. They directly took this from Pepsi Man.
And you boys thought I wouldn't notice.
But for real, this really does look like the opening level from Sonic Adventure 2. Even if you want to play it off as, oh look, it's just San Francisco. You also have these Sonic-esque speed pads on the ground and a really similar looking ranking system. Too weird for it to not be a coincidence. The actual game itself is a disaster. The goal of each level is to get to this goal ring. Also like Sonic. Anyway, but the goal isn't readily available. You have to find these 5 checkpoints throughout the level and then be graded on your work. If you get at least a C, you can pass on to the next level. If not, you have to start all over again. In order to get a better grade, you could do these objectives. One of these objectives in every level is to collect over 500 pieces of the Master Emerald. So let's just say you attempt this but run out of time. You just wasted all that work.
This is #1 bullshit.
Why even have a system like this? It's dumb. Trying to get the the objectives is tough because the game doesn't control all that well. And a lot of these explorable areas are these tiny ass rooms that's not even equipped to be a closet, let alone a place to skateboard in, like this construction area. Boy oh boy, do I hate this construction area. The only way to get around is to constantly stop to look around. Have you ever seen anyone go up the stairs like this? You also have these superpowers like jump really high. Yeah, this sucks. Overall, a slower, less satisfying, worse controlling version of Tony Hawk. There would be a Disney Extreme Skate adventure a year later and it's 700 times better. It actually uses the Tony Hawk 4 engine. Funny, going from ripping off Tony Hawk to just straight up using the engine. And that game doesn't have this announcer in it.
Nose grind! Nose grind! Second checkpoint passed right on. Nose grind!
You know, I'm actually surprised at two things. One, they made an American football game. I feel as though you're limiting your market here. And two, this is admittedly a halfway decent game of football. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Disney Sports Football is pretty simple, but doesn't take away football things to make it simple. Like the rule set is intact and you can even play with penalties on if you wanted. The game is smart enough to know that this backwards pass is a fumble. Playing this game, I really don't have anything too negative to say about it. Each team starts off with a coin toss, so you know this game already has features in it that current Madden games don't have. Passing is a little unorthodox because it's movements with the C-stick, and everyone has stone hands because they have more drops than a YouTube video's retention rate when a sponsorship ad comes up.
Competition in your hands. Incomplete pass.
We have playbooks and you can even go in and edit a playbook. You can have your linemen thrown into you, which is pretty cool. In terms of football games, there's tons of better games, but there's also tons of worse games too. And if being average is all it takes to be the best game in this video, then wear that with pride, Disney Sports Football. Also, look what Donald Duck does when he gets tackled.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
My man thinks he's Edge. They've saved the worst for last, my goodness. Disney Sports Basketball does nothing right. This is a basketball game with no dribble moves, and you can't even jump for a rebound. How? You just have to awkwardly wait for the ball to drop and hope your character picks it up. As soon as you get the ball, each teammate is assigned a button in order for you to pass it to them. So instead of having one universal pass button, which makes things simpler like every other basketball game, we get these specific button passes where I see an open guy on the court and I have to actually see what button he is instead of just instinctively passing the ball. When driving to the basket, sometimes you could start layups and dunks damn near at the 3-point line. Other times you could be a nanometer away from the rim and your character goes for a jump shot instead and even bricks it. There's no shoves, pushes, or anything like that. You have steals, which are automatic successes if you're standing right in front of the ball carrier. If you get enough meter, you get this special shot, which is animated pretty nicely.
Triple dunk! That dunk was nuts! Oh,
Disney Basketball is just a bad game. Controls are bad, no content, and nothing good to do that's fun, like a crossover, or special passes, or anything. But make way for this post-up move.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
The Disney Sports Network ended up being games that were all pretty unremarkable, even for kids' games. All of the menus, UI, theme music, and game modes are all the same in every game. I thought this was to create a more uniform brand, but this might actually be laziness now that I think about it. All 4 games are poorly received, and the only legacy that they leave behind is the absurd amount of money these games go for. Specifically, the Disney Sports Basketball game can go for over $1,000.
Damn!
Listen, bro, that's one expensive ass coaster. But ladies and gentlemen, and when I say ladies, I mean the 1.9% of you, we aren't done yet. There were these Disney sports games released for the Game Boy Advance. The games we looked at have GBA versions, but we aren't going to look at those. We'll instead look at the original games for the system. And to be honest with you, I don't really have too much to say about them due to them naturally being limited games. There's this motocross one where you can't do tricks until you get enough gems to fill up a meter, and then you could do a trick. Isn't it it better to just, you know, be freely able to do tricks? Like what? And then there's the snowboarding one. When it comes to certain games on certain limited devices, I never know how to talk about it. Like, yeah, I'm sure this is somewhat impressive for GBA standards, but this just looks like shit. I can't even tell what the hell is going on. In any event, the GBA games are good for one thing. We don't have to hear this dumbass announcer in the game.
Leave me alone!
Come on, come on!
Oh, I'm hurt!
Injured player down on the field.
Wait, so there's a player injured and it's not the guy who was on the receiving end of a Marvel vs. Capcom air combo through a table?
Damn!
Arena football, the indoor football league. This league, to me, is most remembered as the football league that had walls and Kurt Warner played there before breaking out in the NFL. Also, I remember this one clip from forever ago that made me laugh. A fan in the stands physically grabbed a player, which is completely crazy. But what makes it hilarious is that the players from the opposing team came over and dapped him up as if he was part of the squad. What the hell? But arena football was popular enough to get multiple games based off of it, and that's what we'll be looking at today. Now, you probably expect me to talk about any of these games, and we will, but we have to start off in the most unexpected place, on a game that 95% of you haven't heard of. Arena football. On Commodore 64. I didn't even know this game was a thing. I was doing research for the PS2 arena football game when this caught my eye. Essentially, the game boils down to selections for what type of play you want, and then just hope for the best. Defend the run or the pass. I'll defend the pass. Incomplete. I'll defend the pass again. Incomplete. I'll defend the pass again. Incomplete. Man, I have to take a break from this high-octane action. Boy, on offense, it's the same thing except more options. You can throw to the flat, a screen, or run the ball. Or the bomb, which is just a deep pass, but it can be an explosion for all we know. We can't really see anything. And that's the gameplay, really. And trust me, I'm aware that this is all they had in 1988, but this is a football game in the same vein as pressing all of the buttons on a TV remote and getting a random TV channel is. It's using your imagination and reading, but I'm just like the president from The Simpsons.
I was elected to lead, not to read.
So here's an actual video game, Kurt Warner's Arena Football Unleashed. As I mentioned earlier, Kurt Warner played in the Arena Football League and then went on to the NFL, where he would win a Super Bowl and be a two-time MVP. Of course, making an arena football game endorsed by Kurt Warner is a no-brainer. And the AFL branding is here with all the teams. Hey, this game was released in the year 2000. Do you think next year this team had to change their logo? Anyway. When starting this game, you notice it looks really familiar. Yes, this is the spitting image of Midway's NFL Blitz 2000, and that's because it is. It's pretty much a reskin, and that's not a completely bad thing. Blitz is fun, which in turn makes this game fun. Due to this being the AFL and not the NFL, there are some differences. The field is only 50 yards, which doesn't really help this game all that much in my opinion. Because in Blitz, you can gain humongous amounts of yardage in a single play, but that worked because the field was so big. In this game, touchdowns can happen every 1 to 2 plays. The arena football stuff that they added, I feel like it's not even executed right. Like the walls. Arena football walls are not like this, and right in front of the walls is an out of bounds marker, which doesn't make any sense to me because the whole point of the walls is to eliminate running out of bounds. The biggest change in terms of game mechanics is more violent hits.
Steps up. Balls!
Yeah, the original Blitz was supposed to have this stuff, but the NFL told them to turn it down. So they implemented it here without the NFL restraints. Outside of that, there's this season mode, which is really bare bones, but it's there. And you have this film vault where you can watch Kurt Warner highlights and watch cheerleaders dance. Oh, come on. What kind of degenerate would watch through this grainy ass PS1 footage of Arena Football League cheerleaders? I'm just getting footage for this video, all right? You can also create a playbook and create a play as well. This is yet another example of a old as dirt forgotten video game doing something that a modern day game can't. One thing that surprises me about this game is the critical reception. This is rated as if it's one of the worst games you could play on the platform, but it's really not. Hey, IGN reviewer from 20 years ago, you spelled Caesars wrong. What kind of guy is like, sure, it's a Blitz reskin, but it could still be pretty fun. If you like Blitz games and don't mind the AFL rule set and want to stomp guys' nutsack into applesauce, then this is the game for you. Can you believe that EA actually had the rights to the Arena Football League? Yeah, these guys wanted a monopoly, not just on the NFL, but the sport of football in general. Arena football is kind of crazy. You have the unique presentation and have pretty much PS2 Madden, but in Arena Football League. And that's not bad at all, considering that PS2 Madden is really good. Playing this game, you come to the conclusion that it's a mix of Madden, NFL Street, and Blitz the League. Madden because, well, just look at it. NFL Street because the game gives you the opportunity to do some crazy shit. The AFL has these nets. Any ball that hits off of the nets is still in play. This mostly comes into play in regards to field goals and kickoffs, but you can lob a ball off the netting or even the wall and make a catch.
Come on, come on.
Like, that's pretty hype. And speaking of hype, don't forget to hype the video, whatever the hell that is, I guess. In addition to throwing people into the wall, you can fall over it.
I'm okay.
And even be tackled over it. And you can even do these tag team pop-up tackles, treating the players like one of those predator catchers. And like I said, this also reminds me of Blitz the League for a couple of reasons. You're not roiding up and getting your ass beat in nightclubs like you do in that game, but there's a moment where after every play you have free reign to move around your player for a short amount of time. And I'm thinking, there's no way this is what I think it is, right? But sure enough,
Right.
You can tackle after every play is over, though not without punishment. You get a penalty sometimes.
Personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 2.
I don't give a fuck.
But the fact that this is in the game is something I didn't expect. And something even wilder is the coaches are on the field at all times, and you can run over and just fucking hit them. Even these little cutscenes that happen during the game. Like, come on, this is just PG Blitz, the league.
I can't stop it. I feel good.
So this game is pretty fun, but the main complaints that I have about it are not the faults of the developers, but the weirdo rules of the AFL. Like when it comes to the linebackers, you can't just blitz in or drop back into coverage. You have to stand in this imaginary square where you are penalized if you leave it, unless this arbitrary criteria is filled before you can leave. Like the quarterback scrambling out of the pocket, for instance.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Not a fan of the football equivalent of the fucking sea bear circle from SpongeBob. Also, because the field is so short, you are always in field goal range. Unless you are literally backed up into your own end zone, you can pretty much make anything that's from your own 10-yard line or better. And you can't even blitz with the DBs, you can only cover. I get that these rules are meant to make things higher scoring, but man, I don't like them. At least for this video game. The game doesn't add anything really in terms of game mechanics either, except this telemetry thing. Telemetry. It sounds like a scam call center in India. This thing tells you how healthy and tired your players are, but I never pay attention to it, and I hardly even notice it. The only footage I have of it is me activating it accidentally because it's tied to the right analog stick. Much like every game in this video, the biggest Achilles heel is the lack of content. You have a creative team, which is cool but limited. You have a season mode that's limited, not as limited as the last game. You can make trades, sign free agents, but nothing really to take note of. Not much content unless you count watching the trailer for MVP NCAA 06 as content. They could have just brought over the minicam games from Madden or something, I don't know. While Arena Football seemed like a one and done game, you'd be wrong. We got a sequel a whole year later in 2007.
You fucking bitch, why you bully me? Everyone asking.
Arena Football, Road to Glory. Now the unique thing with this game is the menu looks different, I guess, and the scoreboard looks different too. I got nothing. Yeah, this is a blatant copy and paste. If it wasn't for the UI, you would have zero clue which game is playing. The few differences I can see is when you start a franchise and there's an option for AF2. I have no clue what that is, but I looked it up and it's essentially a minor league for the AFL, which is just crazy to think about because the AFL itself is practically a minor league for the NFL. So this is like some Inception shit, a minor league within a minor league. You also have some mini games, but these are the corniest mini games known to man. Catch a touchdown as a receiver, kick a field goal. Whoa, that's some crazy stuff. Speaking of field goals, there's this mini game where you can pass the controller up to 8 players, but it's just kicking field goals. Arena Football Road to Glory is one of those sequels that makes the original game antiquated because this is just the original game with bad mini games and a minor league to play with, and you could set up certain in-game situations to jump into. That's it. There's no reason to ever go back to the previous game. And that would be it for the Arena Football games. Fun games in their own unique way, but are mostly made up of copy and paste jobs from much better football games. And really, that kind of sums up the Arena Football League perfectly. The AFL itself is very messy. This league is come and gone so much that you think it was a GTA 5 re-release. The 2024 season championship game was played in a mall. And isn't that kind of fitting? Two things that were both popular 20 plus years ago, but are now slowly dying, both come together for an event. Arena Football would disband again and then come back as AF1. I don't know why they would name this thing the same initials as the Nike shoe. Great job making this impossible to Google. But something even more interesting is on their website there's an expansion section where you, yes you, or me, or anybody can submit a team to be considered to join this league. Like, this is just publicly out there. Well, I'm bringing this logo back, boys. When the Nintendo Wii crashed the scene in 2006, it offered motion controls along with broken TVs. And since this thing was practically printing money, Sony and Microsoft came out with their own alternatives to that console. We're gonna check out the sports titles that are supposedly enhanced by these gimmicks, starting with, listen, the joke I have is either a reference to a phallic object or the shit that the Disney kids were using to draw the logo when they went on commercial break. Pick whichever one's funnier. The PS Move is more of a traditional motion gimmick. It's something you can waggle your arms with or use it to aim a cursor. There are some games that are Move compatible, and the first one we'll look at is NBA 2K12. I was confused at first on how you get this thing started. You have to go to a whole separate game mode called NBA on the Move. From here, you have to calibrate your Move controller. Now, the Move controller, at least in this game, has a slight lag when moving the crosshairs, and I feel no matter how many times you calibrate it, it doesn't feel like it works the way it should. Like, you see I have the cursor in the middle of the screen right here, but in actuality, I have the controller pointed up at an angle. The first task when playing is, how the hell do you move your player? Well, it's certainly not the shoot button, that's for sure. So this is the stupidest way to play any NBA game in my opinion. The whole thing is controlled through the cursor. Your character moves by themselves. You point the cursor at a player to pass to a certain player or control them on defense. The only thing you really have control over is when you shoot the ball. You still have face buttons that do certain commands like pick and rolls and alley-oops.
10 tries for the alley-oop. Oh! That should be absolutely illegal.
Yeah, damn right I included that in the video. That was harder to pull off than trying to cook a meal that would impress Gordon Ramsay. But overall, you don't really have much control over things. It's like trying to give commands to a dog. You know, they kind of do what you tell them to do, but it can be in a roundabout way. Like, look at this. You point the Move controller to the basket for them to drive towards it, and he kinda does it. Go, go. Come on, go to the basket, go! On defense is more the same. I don't move anyone, so how the hell was I supposed to defend this? It's not my fault. And even after one quarter, your arms start to get tired, so I can't imagine playing 4 12-minute quarters like this. You'll end up with one arm bigger than the other, and it's not for the reason you think. I was just playing NBA 2K12 on PlayStation Move. Okay, that might actually be a more embarrassing answer. Funny enough, this mode is locked behind this NBA on the Move option. You can't play a regular game with this, or run your franchise like this, or anything. You can't even change the basic broadcast camera. NBA 2K12 is 100% not enhanced by the Move. Even for the super duper casual video game player, it's not good. Now, those of you who have been longtime viewers know that I'm not a soccer guy in any way, shape, or form.
Guy
That fucking sucks.
But that made me want to check out FIFA 13's move support even more. Once again, this is locked behind a specific game mode, so you cannot play your career or any mini games with this. Now, once you start, you are given this little practice thing to do. That's when you realize that this is a whole different ball game than NBA 2K. I'm speaking metaphorically. I know basketball and soccer are two different sports. You control things with the cursor, but you actually move with the cursor. Wherever you have the cursor pointed, that's where your player will run towards. So you can actually control your character in this video game. Wow, what a novel concept. Now, this whole thing is extraordinarily difficult. In addition to moving, you also aim passes and aim your shots too.
Say so. Have been marginal as far as offside is concerned.
Offsides? I didn't line up past the line of scrimmage. How? The game gives you a good bit of control. You could still do things like slide tackle, lob passes, and whatever the hell any of this means.
I know some of these words.
And this is playable. Look, I even get a goal.
Hand side where he's got some support. Brilliant. What a chance. And it's in. It's past the goalkeeper. They are level.
But this game will wear your arms out way faster than NBA 2K did, because with 2K I could just lazily play it because the game had no control over the characters. This game you actually need to try because of how precise the control is. And I'll give credit, my cursor movements are tracked pretty well. It works, but it works in the same way as trying to eat soup without using your arms. You can do it, but outside of novelty, why would you? FIFA isn't really enhanced by the PS Move, but for a once in a while shits and giggles way to play the game, it can be something, I guess. On our way to talk about another sport rarely talked about on this channel, Top Spin 4. Top Spin is one of those franchises that's kinda under the radar. Like, out of all of the 2K sports franchises you can think of, there's like 6 I think of before this one, but that's probably just me personally. Of course, this game has an optional PS Move way to play the game, and this benefits from the fact that the inherent nature of the PS Move controller is perfect for a sport like tennis. The controller is a racket. It's pretty simple, and that makes things a bit more immersive. It's a way better alternative than dragging a crosshair across the screen. Just swing and hit the ball. But that's not all. There's also no automatic movement in this game, and you don't move with the Move controller, ironically. That's where the PS Move navigation controller comes in, or you could just use a regular controller like I did. So you have the controller in your left hand, which handles the movement, and the racket in your right hand. This bothered me because I'm left-handed and I have to conform to your normie bullshit, but this is the best implementation of the move by far. The harder you swing the racket, the harder the ball is hit, and you can hold different buttons while swinging for different shots. You can even bring this style of play into the game's career mode, which is more than welcomed. My main complaint is that sooner or later you come to the realization that swinging the controller isn't really swinging the racket. Let me explain. The game doesn't have one-to-one tracking of your controller. When you swing your controller, what happens is that your swing is just the button input for swinging the racket. So think of it like this. When you swing your controller, it's a press of the circle button. This one string of footage you've been looking at is regular controller gameplay, by the way. You see what I mean? There's no real difference here. This is a fun way to play Top Spin 4, but is it really enhanced? I don't know. MLB The Show 12 has PS Move controls, and we'll start out with the Home Run Derby. Assign the controller port to port 6. Okay. Assign the controller to port 7. Okay. Assign the controller to port 6. Okay, I didn't realize I was playing a Batman Arkham game. What the hell is up with these Riddler-ass instructions? After solving that mystery, Home Run Derby is pretty self-explanatory. Swing the move controller to swing the bat. And it doesn't matter how you swing, it's just timing based. This would be a really fun family game to play. Just pass the move controller around to like 7 other people. The actual game of MLB The Show has a lot. So we'll talk pitching first. In order to pitch, you select the pitch you want to throw with one of the face buttons. Then you use the controller to aim the pitch. Then you press the middle button to lock the pitch in that location. Now, this is where you pitch. You have to press and hold the trigger to start your windup. You do a windup of your own with the controller in your hand, but you want to time the release of the trigger in the middle of this meter, but also in rhythm with your windup.
And he may have reached for ball 4 there as this is sent on the ground to third.
It sounds like a lot, and it kinda is. Good luck doing this shit for 9 innings without looking like that one-time Squidward threw out his back by the end of it. But it works fairly well. I really enjoy pitching, to be honest with you. It won't replace the main methods in the game, but it's fun.
That slider tailing down and away. That's tough to lay off when you're down 0-2.
And here's a changeup in there for a cold third strike, and that's the second out of the inning.
Defense moves by itself, but you have to press the trigger in order to field the ball, and then move the controller to the base you want to throw it to. Hitting is a little bit different. There's 2 ways of hitting. You could just move the controller forward and it'll register a swing, or you can activate full control batting. Once you've done that, you'll know because your guy contorts like a damn demon. Hitting is just like the home run derby. Just swing, only timing matters. There's a little delay when swinging, which makes this a little bit more difficult than it should be, and I can't imagine anyone playing this on difficulties that's past like rookie. There's also the base running controls, which I don't get. You gotta do some fucking circles or whatever with the controller. Here's me being thrown out at second base because I didn't know what I was doing. Overall, it's just like Top Spin 4. Even having the ability to play franchise mode like this too. But once again, enhanced? Not sure about this. Maybe for the home run derby, sure.
Well, he turns on this fastball and sends it out to deep left field. And I would say he got just about all of that one as this ball is gone, a home run.
We're done with the PS Move, but now we have its competitor, the Xbox Kinect. Now the Kinect is much more simple and user-friendly in terms of convenience. It's just a camera that plugs into the console. That's it. With the PS Move, you had to have a camera, a controller, hell, maybe even 2 controllers depending on the game. The Move navigation controller, and oh yeah, don't forget to make sure all of this shit is charged too. You don't even need a controller in general for this. You could just navigate the Xbox menus with your hand. Look how sinister my ass looks. This is how evil I'll look the day I implement in-video sponsored ads. So we'll look at NBA 2K13 first. Now the thing with NBA 2K is that it's just voice integration. You just play the game like normal, but you can use voice commands for certain things.
Pick and roll.
Really turn that franchise around. Here's Nash. Following the message by Kevin Love. And
the Kinect is listening. Oh my god, that's the scariest thing I've ever read. It sounds like a threat. On the surface, this is a good idea because normally you have to fumble with the menus in the middle of the game just to execute simple commands. In order to change your defense, you could just say what you want to do.
Man to man.
I would think that he most likely will continue to carry on this
double team
into the 4th.
Now here's Rubio.
In order to execute anything, you could just use simple commands. This is most helpful when you want to make substitutions.
Substitute Nash.
You can even see the player walking out waiting to be subbed in. Probably the most famous thing about the Kinect on NBA 2K is the fact that technical fouls can be called if you curse after a foul call.
They get it again.
That's bullshit.
That's a technical foul!
This whole thing works for the most part. Sometimes the game doesn't hear me or understands me or what, I don't know.
Isolation. ISO. I didn't want isolation for Nash, but alright.
But if I mute the TV, the Kinect can hear me better, and that might be a no shit moment to most of you. But my response to that is, what the hell was the point of the Kinect testing things with the TV volume then? But even if that wasn't a thing, in order to use this feature properly, I have to have the TV muted or use headphones. Kinda takes away from the experience, no? You can use this feature in your franchise too, so you're not just locked into one mode. Kinect actually does enhance the experience because it takes something that can be convoluted like substitutions and in-game play calls by just saying what you want to do. Of course, just tapping the buttons once you master it is way more efficient, but oh well. Madden 13 had Kinect integration, and we'll test it after we get past this intro of everyone's favorite white suit hiding linebacker, Ray Lewis. Madden is much like NBA 2K. It's voice integration. But this is even better for football in concept because this is where you have all of those pre-snap adjustments you can do.
Keller. Slant. No huddle. Custom. Jet slot cross.
One of the cool things about this is that you get to hear my candid reaction to Mark Sanchez randomly being subbed out for former New York Mets outfield prospect Tim Tebow.
Why the fuck is Tebow in?
Yeah, I guess they subbed out Sanchez because they had elite level foresight. The game has some of the things on the bottom you can say to help you out. It's not everything though, because you can say stuff that never pops up on the bottom.
Cover Amendola.
It's helpful as some of this stuff I don't even know how to do with the controller. But some commands don't work for whatever reason, like audibles. I'm sure it's easier to sign up for Audible on Amazon than it is to call an Audible with this shit.
Audible. Audible. Audible.
It's funny because the Audible command will come up in red sometimes, which means I'm not saying it well enough, but I say it well enough for you to identify that I'm not saying it well enough.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it. Just give me a damn Audible.
Hike. Hut, hut, hike. Blue 42, hike. Omaha. Hike, hike, hike the football. Hike, hike, hike. 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 Clap.
This is #1 bullshit.
I can only imagine what the Kinect hears.
Audible. Audible.
What are you saying? That's not even English.
Madden is a bit of a mixed bag. The concept is there, but doesn't work the greatest. And this whole audio thing is interesting because these features, as far as I know, aren't in today's games. Technology has come a long way, and we even have microphones in our controllers now. I'm just surprised that this hasn't been looked at again. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 13 offers us full-on Kinect controls. So I'm going to treat it that way. I'm not going to use a controller at all and just navigate with the Kinect itself. Oh, wait, I need a controller for this menu. Okay, now I'm just gonna use, wait, I need my controller for this screen. Okay, now let's, fuck this. Once you get past the title screen, you come to find out that it's easier to control the fabric of time itself than it is controlling the menu with the Kinect. And that's gonna be a common theme here. This just doesn't work well at all. You can use a combination of gestures and voice commands to do what you need to do, but the issue is that it's just way more work. And when I say more work, I don't mean it in a workout sense. I mean it in a, wow, this really isn't working and I'm looking like a certain German dictator in the process sense. The main issue is that golf requires a lot of precise control because you are trying to put a tiny ball into a tiny hole. It's something you can't really mess around with. In order to aim your shot, you're supposed to clench your fist and slowly move it, but I constantly overshoot where I'm trying to go, or the game stops recognizing my fist as a fist and ends the control. Sometimes the game just freaks out. Here, look at this shot that was taken by Manti Te'o's girlfriend. There's 0 people in frame here.
I don't understand. I don't know what's going on here.
Even when this works, it's unsatisfying because in order to play this, you have to face the TV with your body parallel to the TV. You can't line up to a ball like you would in real life. Also, this is an instance where a lack of a physical peripheral hurts the Kinect. I mentioned how playing Top Spin or MLB The Show can be satisfying because the Move controller can be a substitute for a racket or a baseball bat. You are literally swinging something. With this game on Kinect, you put your hands together around nothing and swing nothing. Playing Tiger Woods just gave me a headache. Okay, I covered what I wanted to. I missed out on some things like Tiger Woods on the PS Move, and I purposefully didn't cover FIFA on the Xbox 360 because it's just vocal commands again, and I have no idea what to say, so it would just be a waste of everyone's time. Overall, the motion control gimmicks for the 7th generation were a mixed bag. This isn't even mentioning the 6-axis motion control for the PS3, which had features like shooting free throws in NBA 2K and bigger hits in Madden. In any case, the most fun I've had during the making of this video was trying to get a technical foul on purpose.
That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Fuck you, ref.
Royal Rumble on the Sega Dreamcast is probably the most forgotten WWE game of all time, at least when it comes to home console releases. And this is due to a number of reasons. The Dreamcast didn't sell all that well, and the Dreamcast had a lifespan of a goldfish. And there's a more popular WWE game with the title of Royal Rumble. Out of all the games that have been named after pay-per-view events, this is probably the most obscure with little to no fanfare. Royal Rumble opens up with this little montage of wrestlers, and they put this little red filter on the footage, like you're supposed to be wearing those 3D glasses. It looks like footage a YouTuber would use in an attempt to avoid YouTube's automated copyright system. Also, take a look at these wrestlers they showcase. Hardcore Holly, Chyna, Devon Dudley. Wow, I can't wait to play as these wrestlers. Oh, none of them are in the game. As a matter of fact, you don't even have enough wrestlers to have a real Royal Rumble match. That wouldn't be really all that much of a problem, but the thing is, your game is titled Royal Rumble, but you can't even do the match properly without every other wrestler just having multiple attempts to win. I mean, come on, I'm D'Lo Brown with a little gray on my pants, fighting D'Lo Brown with a little blue on his pants.
It doesn't make any sense.
The reason this is because Royal Rumble was an arcade game that got ported over, but nothing was done to enhance the game for home consoles besides adding in Vince McMahon and the product of his semen. You have this exhibition mode where you run a gauntlet of 10 matches. The game looks quite good, which you probably wouldn't think so because it really doesn't, but you gotta remember this game came out before the PS2 games, so this was their competition in terms of looks.
That's disgusting.
This game can have the title of being the best looking wrestling game at one point in time, for whatever it's worth. Now, this is the engine from the PS1 SmackDown games, so the game is very similar but dumbed down. You have a button for strikes, a button for grapples, and a button for everything else. From running, pinning, climbing the turnbuckles, reversing, everything. The game is similar, but adds in some pretty unique things. You have this special meter. Each time it fills up, you get 1 S. These S's can be used for offensive moves, but can also be used for defensive moves, like getting up quickly, breaking a grapple, kicking out of pins, and saving yourself in a Royal Rumble match. When you have 3 S's, you can perform a finisher. I only use the S's for defensive purposes or just for a finisher. I feel like it's just a waste to use it on a regular move. There's also this thing where you have to pick a wrestler to be at ringside with you, and these dudes act as assists like Marvel vs. Capcom. You can press a combination of buttons and your wrestler will whistle like an owner calling his dog. And your ringside wrestler will help in 3 ways. Red, they'll do a tag team move with you. Yeah, I also like this little celebration, like, yeah, good job, buddy. Yellow, they'll run in and just attack.
What a fucking dumbass!
And green, they can throw you a weapon. Al Snow, toss me a weapon.
I'm okay.
So as you can imagine, things can get pretty chaotic when both guys are calling their wrestlers in. But things can get even more chaotic when these little interferences happen. At random, wrestlers will come out, pose, and attack. It just becomes a damn free-for-all at certain points. I'd like to mention the sound mixing too. It's terrible, and the crowd is way too loud, and there's no way to change it in the options. The crowd pops for everything, as if Jesus made his grand return or something. Audio warning, I'm about to play a clip of this. 3, 2, 1. After some time, the lights could go dim and everyone looks up. Is that you, God? Maybe it was because some entity transports you to the backstage area to finish off the match, which is a nice change of pace. The gameplay is fast, chaotic fun, but it's limited due to its arcade nature, and the controls are weird. The analog stick isn't used at all, and I thought it was emulation error on my part, especially considering no reviews I've seen of this game mention this. But I found a guide on GameFAQs that states the analog stick just isn't used, so you have to control your character with the D-pad, which should put an arrest warrant on whoever decided that was a good idea. You mean to tell me you couldn't give analog stick controls? Another thing is that the targeting is weird. Oftentimes I find myself hitting and grabbing the ghost that's haunting the arena and not the wrestler I'm facing. And the depth overall just isn't there. I mean, you can't even leave the ring. After going through a gauntlet of 10 matches, the last match is Vince McMahon. Vince just shits all over me. And it's kind of crazy that I have to clarify that I say that in a figurative sense.
You really are disgusting.
But we prevail, and that's it. It's over. Here's the credits. This is unskippable, by the way, and that's it for exhibition mode. You don't even get a screen or some type of indication that you've unlocked Vince. Even in the character select screen, he's not there. You have to navigate to the little select superstar ticket crawl that's in the middle. Would it have been that much of a Herculean task to just put Vince and Shane's portraits on the side? Then we have the Royal Rumble match. This doesn't work like an ordinary Royal Rumble, and I don't just mean the duplicate wrestlers that come out. You have to eliminate 30 wrestlers. Yes, you have to eliminate 30 wrestlers. The ones that are eliminated by the CPU don't count. So if you think you could just stay up the top rope and cheese the system, well, you're wrong. Or rather, I was wrong, considering you're looking at footage of me trying that.
Pussy.
It's also a race against time. You get time added to the timer every time you eliminate someone, so they do everything they can in order to keep you in the action. When you get tossed over the top rope, you have to mash the D-pad in order to recover. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have these S's, you can recover immediately. Now, probably the one thing this game is known for is the fact that you can have 9 wrestlers in the ring at once. No other WWE game can say this. No load times for each wrestler either. The bad thing is that this Rumble feels a little aimless, and it's hurt by the fact that this is an unaltered arcade port. For starters, it's almost impossible to fail this Rumble. Like, you can get eliminated, but you can just press start to come back in. This makes sense in the arcades because this would be the part where you put money into the machine for a new try. But in this game, you have unlimited tries. Also, the scoring system can make the latter half of the match pointless. The game goes by how many wrestlers you eliminated. Once you get eliminated, you start over from 0. So I eliminated 18 wrestlers before getting eliminated. Now, I ain't the smartest arithmetician on the earth, but it's impossible to top 18 because there's only 12 wrestlers left. So there's nothing to do besides just win the match, which gets more and more difficult as time goes on, by the way. You win the Rumble, the credits play again, you can't skip them, and congrats, you've just seen everything there is in Royal Rumble in a matter of minutes. Royal Rumble was just a quick port job to have on the Dreamcast. There's a good game deep in here, but you needed to make changes to some of the arcade aspects of this game in order for it to work on a home console release. The arcade game was just a quick 5 to 10 minute playthrough, and that worked for the arcade, but this is a $50 home release that has 2 matches.
$50?
I still kind of like it due to the nostalgia of playing this as a 6-year-old, but to be fair, this game isn't very good at all. But in a weird sort of way, you can make a legitimate argument that it is the best wrestling game on Dreamcast, at least in North America. But that's not really much of a compliment when you see that the competition is just those shitty ass Acclaim games. Look, saying Royal Rumble is better than these games is the same as if I walked up to you and said you're a better person than Jeffrey Dahmer. The bar is so low, that shit ain't even eligible for a game of Limbo. NBA Jam is one of those iconic games that everyone knows, and even if you don't know it, some things from it have seeped their way into pop culture, like the concept of someone being on fire, figuratively speaking, of course. Now, when it comes to NBA Jam, people only know the first one, or at best, the first one and Tournament Edition. But there were many more NBA Jam games after the original that nobody talks about or even seems to know. But before we get into them, there's something a little confusing we have to go over. Most of you know Midway games, right? Sports arcade games where punching someone during a game is as legal as assault and battery. Wait, that's not legal? Well, yeah, that's the point.
Bitch!
These games were fun, and NBA Jam was one of them. Or rather, NBA Jam the arcade game was one of them. The home console port was done by a company who produces bad games at a rate that rivals the Earth's production of water and grass. That would be Acclaim. These guys suck mega ass, and I'm sure there's some loser online that made a video about them already. The console version of NBA Jam was good though, but it's hard to mess up because you're taking an already successful game and just slapping your logo on the box. Now we have to acknowledge that the IP ownership is very finicky because Midway nor Acclaim owned the NBA Jam name. It was the NBA themselves who would grant the IP over to Acclaim because the guy in charge of NBA's licensing was a former Acclaim employee. So to put it simply, Midway no longer owned the series that they created, and the guys who just ported Midway's creation over do now. Midway moved on. They continued to create NBA Jam, but just didn't call it NBA Jam. NBA Hang Time, NBA Hoops, NBA Showtime, these are all practically NBA Jam, but at the same time, the actual NBA Jam had games coming out from Acclaim as well. 2 NBA Jam games going on at the exact same time, and we'll be looking at the Acclaim ones. I'm pretty sure most of the budget went into that intro, and it's fitting that the logo looks like it's breaking out of hell because that's exactly where this game belongs. NBA Jam Extreme is just a poorly put together video game. I know that PS1 games aren't exactly the prettiest looking games out there, but there's no reason that players should look like a fusion between Slender Man and the Missing Link. The scale is also pretty weird. The players are giants. Everyone that's not on the court looks tiny in comparison, and the ball looks like an orange, not a basketball. Why is it so small? As far as the gameplay goes, it just comes across as a poor man's NBA Jam, especially when you compare it to NBA Hang Time by Midway, which came out the same year. The only difference here is that this game has this extreme mode, which is just a slightly better version of Turbo.
I don't understand. I don't know what's going on here.
There's nothing here, and to top it off, after each quarter you have to sit through a crazy amount of loading just to get back into the game. Look, I'll time it.
No good.
Practically a minute of waiting. I'd rather get commercials in real life. Though a special shout out to the song that the crowd chants. This song is probably the most enjoyable part of the game.
Ain't no ball like a basketball, cause a basketball's got that bounce. Ain't no ball like a basketball, cause a basketball's got that bounce. Ain't no ball like a basketball, cause a basketball's got that bounce. Ain't no ball like a basketball, cause a basketball's got that bounce.
After NBA Jam Extreme, Acclaim went into a whole new direction with the series. They started naming the games after the year and went more simulation, which makes zero sense to me. NBA Jam 99. You know the game's gonna suck when the only player you can scrape up to be on the cover is zero-time All-Star Keith Van Horn. So this isn't really like NBA Jam at all. This has fouls, full 5-on-5, and an overall lack of anything really exciting happening. At least with NBA Jam Extreme, you can see the occasional crazy dunk and sing along to that basketball song. This has an air horn during free throws.
And it counts.
And the fact that free throws are even a thing is just crazy. The standout in the gameplay is not even anything in the gameplay, it's the announcer. Believe it or not, Kevin Harlan is the announcer here, which blows my mind as he's one of the mainstay NBA announcers today and is even in NBA 2K. What on earth is he doing here? It's like finding out your favorite school teacher was a prostitute beforehand.
The Angry Whopper!
But Harlan is insane in this game. You know that one clip of him in NBA 2K going apeshit over Wembanyama?
And the rejection by Wembanyama!
Yeah, imagine that, but it happens every 20 seconds.
What a stupid foul! He's playing tennis! With no regard for human life! Mother, cover your children's eyes! He's like a missile! He's on fire! He's gone mad! He's got mad cow disease!
Now there is a jam mode in this game. It's supposed to be like actual NBA Jam gameplay, But what if I told you that you were looking at it right now? Yeah, the only difference I could see with jam mode is pushes won't be called as a foul. That's really it. Now, I do have to give this game props on one thing. The franchise mode is pretty good, at least for the time. I was just expecting a singular season and not much else, but you can trade, sign free agents, and even bid for free agents. Like, bro left my team to play in Europe?
Yeah, I want to have tea and crumpets. Yeah, I want to fucking have tea and crumpets. Yeah, tea and fucking crumpets.
And there's even a rookie draft class here, along with the NBA draft. NBA Jam 99 overall is very whatever. It's not the worst type of game you can play, but I think you guys can see why these games are never brought up in any type of discourse. To take away the arcade aspect of NBA Jam is so dumb. It's like when WWE brought back ECW, but it had like disqualifications and shit. It's just the hollow shell of something that had the name and nothing else. Take everything I said and also apply it to next year's release, NBA Jam 2000. This is the same sort of thing as 99. The only real difference is the jam mode. They made it 2-on-2, opened up the flashy dunks a bit more, and sped everything up. It's okay, I mean, it's nothing special. I'd rather play this than a regular mode any day, even though it's still not good. An NBA Jam from Acclaim would be put on the shelf for a while. On home consoles anyway, the Game Boy would be treated to NBA Jam 2001, a game where everyone looks like fucking Mr. Game & Watch. I don't really have anything to say because a lot of this is self-explanatory and rather simple. You want to know how you're playing a bad NBA Jam game? There are backcourt violations. You want to know how you're playing a bad basketball game? After said backcourt violation, there's free throw shots.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a poorly executed game of basketball, and so is the follow-up year NBA Jam 2002 on the Game Boy Advance. This is probably the worst game you could play, and I'm not just joking or exaggerating. Dunks don't actually dunk, they just kind of stop, and man, this just really sucks. At least the other games functioned. And of course, who could forget the announcer that only says nicely received every 5 seconds, even if it doesn't make sense.
Bounce pass, nicely received. Whoa, he's going all the way! Nicely received. Short pass, nicely received. Nicely received. And the ball is taken! Nicely received. Is he swinging on the basket?
I don't know how Acclaim can let this happen to such a prestigious franchise. They buried it and reduced it to a handheld game that doesn't even work. Acclaim would sort of give a reboot to NBA Jam in 2003. They just titled it NBA Jam. No subtitle or year in the title. Now here we go again, another bad video Whoa, wait a minute.
Because he just activated the hotspot and he wants to throw down a monster gun.
A fun game? What? To be honest, I was heading into this video to fully expect to shit on everything except the last game. But to be completely fair, this is a fun game. The game isn't ugly, it's animated well, some fun courts to play on, and NBA legends, and these crazy teams too.
Oh my!
You have a right to bear dunks. That's in the Bill of Rights. The game gets the simplistic yet fun aspect of NBA Jam. They take some liberties from NBA Street, like this meter you could build up. It builds up by doing tricks or achieving certain goals throughout the game, like perform 10 dunks or hit 5 threes. Once it's filled, you can activate this hotspot, which is a crazy dunk that's worth 3 points. But each time you earn a hotspot, the points you earn from it increase. So this thing could be a real swing if you feel like you're out of the game. You can even push your opponent after you win a game. The game has this Legends mode where you have to play against different decades of legends with accurate presentation. The original NBA Jam announcer, Tim Kitzrow, is back and even adjusts to whatever era you're playing in.
Welcome everybody to the pre-70s era of the NBA Jam Legends Tournament.
There's even a bunch of cheats, though I wish there was a menu where you could just activate them, instead of just trying to memorize all the codes to enter them in a short amount of time before the game starts. This version of NBA Jam is solid, yet nobody ever brings it up or talks about it in general. I think the issue is, while it's solid, it doesn't really have much depth to it, or a ton that's new, but the bigger picture that affected this game was the fact that NBA Street by EA is better in every conceivable way. And NBA Ballers, a game that was made by Midway, was also better in every conceivable way, and it was coming out shortly thereafter. So that makes this game kinda a moot point and overshadowed. But hey, any game where you can play basketball as a mini vampire and do a YMCA dunk can't be bad. I'm sure that's some kind of law.
The hotspot has just been activated, and he just blasted off, folks. Are you kidding me? What a dunk!
After the 2003 version of NBA Jam would come out, Acclaim would go bankrupt shortly thereafter, mostly because they made games like this.
What is that?
And that would be it for the era of NBA Jam from Acclaim. It was anything but nicely received, and we got one good game out of it. The original creator of NBA Jam, Midway, also went bankrupt too. This put the NBA Jam IP in a weird spot, and the series was pretty much dead, until 7 years later where the IP was picked up by our good friends at EA. I feel like it's impossible to make a video without these guys coming up at least once. Now, they initially announced this game for the Wii, but later on there were 360 and PS3 versions that were announced as well. And get this, EA would bundle NBA Jam for free with the purchase of NBA Elite 11. NBA Elite 11 is a whole nother big ass can of worms that not even any of the Rugrats would attempt to touch. But to sum it up succinctly, NBA Elite 11 was an attempt by EA to reboot the NBA Live games because the NBA 2K games were taking over the whole basketball video game market. How many times have I said NBA in like the last 30 seconds? Or how many times have I said NBA in this whole fucking video? But there was a problem with that plan. NBA Elite 11 was so bad it looked like it was a game from Acclaim. So NBA Elite was cancelled, and NBA Jam would get a standalone release along with an upgraded On Fire edition a year later. Now this is, without a doubt, the best game in this video.
Stickman Blue? Oh, he got all of that one as he dunks it home for two.
The attention to detail, the game modes, and the teams. Listen, if I'm sure we decided every presidential candidacy on a basketball game, then I'm pretty sure everyone in this country would be a little bit happier.
Bush?
And y'all know George Bush wasn't moving like this. We got footage to prove it. The game has this art style with these photo cutouts of players' heads, and I hated this as a kid, but now I kinda like it. It makes the game stand out, and everyone is like this, from the players to the coaches to the mascots on the sideline. It reminds me of this one super obscure Nickelodeon cartoon from years ago. Did anyone watch this too? The fast-paced gameplay is maintained here, and it's pretty much perfected. There's some things to do to vary things up. You have game modes which turn the 2D NBA Jam into more of a 3D one, and it works. You have 21, or this mode where you have to take control of zones on the court, and you have this one mode where you have health bars. The goal is to break the backboard with each basket doing damage, and with dunks doing the most damage.
The backboard is shattered!
You have your classic arcade playthrough, but you also have this remix tour. You face each team in the league 3 times. The bronze medal is mostly just a regular match. The silver is most of the time some type of spin-off. And the gold, most of the time, is boss battles. Now these boss battles, along with this whole game, to be honest with you, is absolutely ball-breakingly difficult. The boss battle is some type of one-on-one, but the thing is that they have some type of special effect on the game that is just outright cheating at times. Like Dr. J taking every zone with one singular dunk. Or check this out. Look what Larry Bird does when he gets on fire.
Larry Legend! Shot clock! Booyah! And he hits the 3! You lose!
This is #1 bullshit.
Overall, EA's NBA Jam is a good game, which is surprising for many reasons. But for me, it's surprising because EA would actually try to revive NFL Blitz, but that game wasn't anywhere near as good as this one. After this, NBA Jam would be non-existent. We got nothing, even to this very day. There have been reports of getting a new one, including this one report from 2018 where Tim Kitzrow was talking with Microsoft, but nothing has materialized. No matter the case, NBA Jam was kind of strange if you think about it. A hit arcade game franchise that was split off into 2 different publishers, and both publishers died, all while having 0 memorable NBA Jam games with the exception of the first and last one, which was done by EA of all people. And that was supposed to be a pack-in title. Whatever the case, we all know at the end of the day, it can never get any worse than this.
I'll bet he didn't see that coming. Nicely received.